Greetings, everyone. This is Brock from Spellcruncher with the weekly comic book roundup. And we're going to be moving on to this week's Spider-Man related titles. Starting off with Black Cat, number 8. Where we left off, Odessa Drake, the leader of the New York Thieves Guild, declared war on the Black Cat, White Fox, and Black Cat's allies. Also, the big heist that Black Fox is working with, or White Fox is working with Black Cat on, is breaking into the Thieves Guild vault, which is actually interdimensional. So the issue actually kind of goes back and forth between the events during the day and at night and earlier that day. We start off at night with Black Cat and Janice Lincoln, the Beetle, at Rand Tower breaking in. Beetle claims that Black Cat's off. She claims she isn't, but she admits to herself that she totally is, as always happens when she goes to visit her mother. And we see during the day portion is, of course, her and her mother spending time with each other. Turns out that Felicia has bought her mother a ticket on a cruise. It's an 80s cruise. But she mentions, however, that she always knew when Felicia's father was lying to her, and, well, he was much better at it than Felicia is. So, and she presses Felicia as to why Felicia wants her mother out of town. That night, anyways, back to Beetle and Black Cat going through Rand Tower. And apparently Beetle is trying to float the idea to Black Cat of joining the Sinister Syndicate. She explains that, she's got beef with like half the membership. After you guys are all Spider-Man villains. And she says, well, you're one too. And she explains, ex-girlfriend, yes. Villain, no. Beetle then adds, there's a difference. But she does admit later that she's got a lot on her mind, and she spent some time with her mom that day. And so Felicia tells her what's going on, how Odessa Drake has declared war on Felicia, but when she brings up Black Fox, oh yes, it was Black Fox, not White Fox. She brings up Black Fox. Well, Felicia's mother gets very, very mad. Back in the now, turns out that the whole caper was to basically pirate the plans for a device in the tower, and Beetle was hired to come along because, well, Beetle offered a reduced rate so she could pitch joining the Sinister Syndicate, and because Black Cat's guys are working on building a copy of the machine, and it is Iron Fist's house. And because everything with Odessa Drake does have Black Cat a little shook up. And, well, Dragon Gork comes upon the two of them. Takes an immediate liking to Felicia, though Pei, the young girl who keeps an eye on Gore, not too happy about this. It turns out that Felicia's mother especially doesn't like Black Fox because, while yes, he did train Felicia's father, he also trained Felicia, made her into the Black Cat. Basically, and she took her only child. And Felicia's mother never stopped being afraid of her. So, Pei shows up, attacks Felicia and Beetle, and then, in short order, Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, comes behind her, and a slight fight breaks out. And it turns out that Iron Fist is really just kind of playing with them because the thieves breaking into his building is nice compared to people wanting to kill him to prove their kung fu is superior, cut off his hands, or absorb his chi. So, but Felicia's mom further adds to the fact that maybe Odessa Drake is wrong about Black Fox because, well, Black Fox did care about both Felicia's father and Odessa's father, so. And so Iron Fist seemingly destroys the device that was copying the plans, but Felicia explains that it doesn't record data, it transmits. So the scanning is all done. And so Black Cat and Beetle escape. And then later on, Black Cat arrives back at the hideout and discovers it's been blown up, and the word "war" is also shown written in fire letters on the floor, on the ground in front of it. But she does confirm that her crew is all right. But yes, it would be a safe assumption that the war has started. That's where the issue ends. And though it looks like the next issue of Black Cat will involve not just one, but two people with claws. Next up, we've got Venom number 22, part 2 of Venom Island. So where we left off, Dylan Brock is staying with little Normie Osborn and his mother. Eddie is taking some time to himself and has gone back to the Island of Bones, which he once spent a few months on, mistakenly believing that he had killed Spider-Man there. However, it was mainly so he could get away and hopefully clean out the symbiote, which seemed to have taken on part of the Carnage symbiote as well. However, that did not go as he expected. So Venom runs into the deeper into the woods. Turns out that while he was there, the last time, he made tunnels and safe houses for themselves and defenses in case they ever came in, in case trouble ever came. And thankfully, it seems that Venom is keeping those. The Venom symbiote is keeping those memories from the Carnage symbiote. And we also get some. There's also an odd dream sequence with Dylan where he's having dreams of Null. And it turns out he's keeping a piece of a symbiote inside a box. Though it looks like he won't be keeping it in the box any longer. So, because the Island of Bones had a military base that got bombed to hell, a lot of military surplus stuff got left behind. So Eddie suits up, flamethrower, machete, knife, some grenades, bow, arrows. And we also learned that the reason the base got bombed was because the air raid siren had been damaged and no one had repaired it. However, while Venom was there, he did just that. So he activates it, basically pissing off everything with a touch of symbiote on the island. And so a bunch of symbiote infected wildlife come for him. And he uses what's left of the flamethrower to make the statement of this island is his, and this is his war, and they're going to fight it on his terms. The symbiote does eventually arrive. Tries to get into Venom's hand, to Eddie's hand, and turns out that he wants to offer. Eddie wants to offer a deal. To Carnage. Release the Venom symbiote, and he can have the island. No one will bother him. No one will know he's here. He'll be free, and he'll see to it. Otherwise, they can all burn together. But the symbiote wraps itself around his hand, and they talk a bit, and Carnage explains that if you don't think that we will take you and make you watch, powerless for your own eyes, as your body shuffles and dances to our song, as it slits the throats of every baby on Earth, you really haven't been paying attention. And to get free of the symbiote, Eddie slices off his own hand. And that's where the issue ends. I'll be honest, I was actually kind of shocked to get to the ending. That was not something I expected to see happen. I was like, well, I mean, he could, no, they wouldn't do it. But yeah, they did it. I'm figuring probably when he gets the symbiote back, when he rebonds to the Venom symbiote, turn out that the symbiote was holding on to his hand, and like, yeah, hey, I can fix this. Anyways, moving on to Ghost Spider number 6. Where we left off with Ghost Spider, well, the Earth 616 version of Miles Warren, the Jackal, followed her from Earth 616 to Earth 65, and promptly ended up eventually killed the Miles Warren of Earth 65, and also tried to convince Gwen that they were meant to be. yeah, he ended up going back home and without Gwen. So we start off. So the issue begins 5 years previously. A photo shoot with with Johnny and Sue Storm, influencers. Turns out their next assignment they're going to Latveria, and the country's tourism board is paying for the whole thing. Turns out that they headed out to Latveria, and no one had seen them since. They went to the country at the behest of President Victor Von Doom. Though it's a little outside of Captain Stacy's jurisdiction to look for them. And so now, the Mary Janes are on Earth 817. Watching a band play, and they can go see multiversal versions of all bands of their favorite bands. Anyway, they get back to Earth 65, and Gwen offers to web everyone home, but they'll pass. MJ will drive. Along the way, however, there's sirens in the middle of the night at a bank, and her father ran into the scene. It's a bank robbery with hostages. And so Gwen makes her way in, and, against her father's wishes, foils the hostage situation, gets all the hostages safely out, and he thanks her. And so she heads home. But before she leaves, Captain Stacy's called away, telling her kind of, hey, we're going to discuss all this later. And she wonders what was so important that her father was not needed. Apparently, looks like someone found Johnny and Sue Storm after all these years. And that is where the issue ends. Should also be mentioned that Gwen tells the Mary Janes about how multiversal versions of other people, and how sometimes they're older, sometimes they're younger, and apparently Johnny and Sue Storm quite often end up as heroes elsewhere in the multiverse, except for their Earth, it seems. Anyways, moving on to Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality #2. Where we left off, while fighting Kraven the Hunter, Spider-Man ended up in a strange new world where Kraven is his partner? And Black Widow is the Black Cat, which, yes, I stated it was Mary Jane, not Black Widow, but further reading in the issue reading this issue made me realize that my mistake, and that the Hobgoblin is the student of the Sorcerer Supreme, who isn't Doctor Strange. While fighting Hobgoblin, however, he was saved, however, by Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange recounts what happened while the two eat, explaining that a young man appeared on the door claiming to be a reporter from the Daily Bugle to interview Doctor Strange about some of his philanthropic work. However, the reporter knocked out Wong with some paralytic, and then took the book. and used it. Stranger's able to escape with a few artifacts, but he can't use. For some reason, he seems unable to use his abilities. So, but he comes up with a plan. He'll teach Peter how to use magic. And so he decides, okay, you know what, well, let's just hang on, let me try something. Let's check on someone right quick. And so he checks on Aunt May to see how she's doing. She seems just fine. So he heads over to see her. Well, he discovers that Uncle Ben is still alive. And so he has tea with his aunt and uncle. But his spider sense goes off, and the hobgoblin attacks. And Spider-Man manages to wrap Hobgoblin up in the Crimson Band's tow rack, and then webs him up, but on escaping, he does manage to blow up to cause an explosion within the house. Which costs May her life. But Black Cat tosses or Black Widow Cat? Whatever. Tosses a smoke grenade in and helps Peter to escape. He catches back up with Doctor Strange, and he says to the doc, teach him everything. That's where the issue ends. Moving on to Ruins of Ravencroft, Carnage. So this is the first in a series of one-shots focusing on Ravencroft Asylum and its sordid history. Ravencroft being kind of the Marvel equivalent to Arkham Asylum. Alright. So we begin in the present. Ravencroft's being demolished. However, after the events of Absolute Carnage, that is, Mayor Fisk shows up. Turns out he actually got John Jameson his job back at the asylum. And one of the workmen comes up and claims they found something. We then flash back to New York in the early 1400s. Apparently, the native tribes, the area where the asylum had been built, the native tribes knew not to wander too far into it. Doing so would result in dire consequences. Different tribes, different languages, all had different names for the cannibalistic heathens who dwelled in the area. We see an altar made to Null out of bones. One of the skulls having a spiral design on the forehead. And also additional spiral designs just in the background as well. Explorer Giovanni Verrazzano in 1524 went into the area and came upon a spiral made of human remains while looking for some of his men who disappeared. He cut his journey short and never returned to the area. In the summer of 1664, a couple by the name of Cortland and Molly settled near the area, and well, Molly went a bit too far wandering and stumbled onto that part of the land. So Cortland goes and asks for help, but no one was willing to help. So he goes and he's attacked by one of the heathens. Heathen wearing human skin and with a rather familiar looking emblem on the chest, that of Null. He takes The man takes a bite out, tries to take a bite out of Cortland's head, but Molly knocks him out, tends to Cortland's wound, says there's that cave there. That's where they are. And he says, okay, well, I'm gonna take care of them. They're all in one place. I'll kill them all at once. Be done with this. He goes in and finds open his mass grave, and then on the wall, cave paintings, which also bring mention of Null. But they're waiting for him. He screams and he comes out covered in blood. His eyes having the spiral. Molly rides back to the town, Cortland following. And when Cortland shows up, he kills 8 people in the town before being stopped. All while saying the same 3 words over and over again. God is coming. And so, he locked up on the cursed land itself, what would be the country's first facility for the criminally insane. Or for the criminally insane. All to hold one Cortland Cassidy, the first mass murderer in the New World. Molly, whose last name was Ravencroft, she went to see him. However, she was found dead in the building. God is coming written along the walls. No one ever knew what happened to Cortland. Figuring his madness got the better of him and he died. However, some think he lived his remaining days with the others, waiting for God to come. Whereas Mr. Fantastic then shows up as well. Basically kind of say, hey, look, pretty sure this is not, Fisk being involved in the rebuilding of Ravencroft will not go well, but he wants to make sure it gets rebuilt properly. Turns out, though, they found something else. A hidden stairwell. And at the end of that stairwell, an entire other facility. And that is where the issue ends. To be continued in Ruins of Ravencroft, Sabretooth. Alright, next up we've got Miles Morales, The End. So, many years ago, Marvel began publishing miniseries that were supposedly, the last so, like, there's X-Men The End, which is actually split up into, like, X-Men The End, Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3. There's a Wolverine The End, Spider-Man, so on and so forth. And it's all these, in the far-flung future kind of things. And that concept's being revisited this month. Starting with Miles Morales. So we begin at what used to be New York City, decades from now. A father and daughter are trying to make their way through the rubble. But there are creatures following them. However, Miles Morales shows up. The mayor uses bioelectric blasts to stop them. Provides some water to the father and daughter, and escorts them back to Brooklyn, which has been saved, in fact. And so, Turns out a group called the One America Army is attacking one of their caravans. So Miles leads the defense. Turns out, and the leader of the One American caravan is, of course, wearing a bastardized version of Captain America's outfit and carrying the remains of Cap's shield. Turns out he got some. He's been pumped full of super soldier serum, but he's no match for Miles. And it turns out that part of with the caravan is none other than Kamala Khan's son. And it turns out that Miles never had kids of his own. He was too busy for too long. He was too busy, confused about what was important. And it was too late. So a month later, the One American Army attacks again. It turns out that their leader has found a way to fuse with the germs. And he's able to get through their barrier. And so a fight begins in Brooklyn. Some of the Brooklynites get killed. And the leader of the army is actually, well, if you use the germs, he's kind of overpowering Miles. But he puts everything he can into a bioblast. But by putting everything into it, he put everything into it, and so the next day, the people of Brooklyn celebrate the life of their protector, Mayor Miles Morales. That's where the issue ends. And that's it for this part of the roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the search box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.